Hi everyone, this is the Ask Annie podcast, Horse Girl reviews on products you use. We feature a special guest in this episode, and I would like to thank Nutrena's equine product line manager, Russell Mueller, for being a part of this week's episode. This episode is brought to you by Nutrena Empower Digestive Balance. Many horses, regardless of age or lifestyle, can suffer digestive upset. These challenges can be even greater in performance horses who are under stress from traveling, performing, and ever-changing schedules and environments. Empower Digestive Balance is a pelleted top dress supplement with marine source calcite and butyric acid designed to support overall gastrointestinal health and maintain normal gastric pH. So it's good to talk to you again, Russell. Can you tell us what you and Nutrena have been up to since we last spoke in November?
Oh, we've been up to a lot. I mean, last November we relaunched and put a refresh on our Safe Choice product line, and we never really stopped thinking of what's next for our business and for our consumers and the animals they feed, and so we've done some other product updates and continue to push that out. And the latest thing we've brought out is our Empower Digestive Balance.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about that. When we talked on episode 24, we talked a lot about Safe Choice, but we're really going to focus on your new Nutrena's Empower Digestive Balance. Can you tell me how this product came about?
You know what? We do a lot of listening to horse owners and about what they need, what their animals need, what they're seeing with their horses, whether it's in competition or at home or training or, whatever they're doing with them. And we just continue to hear about, my horse either has some form of digestive upset. So when I talk digestive upset, I'm thinking small and large intestine or gastric upset, which focuses on the stomach. And, that's when you have a need of the animal and the horse owner, you're really saying, okay, how can we solve that need? And that's where we started ideating well over a year ago about how could we fit that need for our animal owners out there and the horses we love. And that's where we came up with Empower Digestive Balance to bring a lot of new technology to bear in one single easy to use product.
Yeah, absolutely. Really meeting the horse owners where they're at too.
Yeah. I mean, it's critical to bring in something that they really find value in, and just betters the lives of whether it's the owner or the horse. I mean, we got to do both. Absolutely.
Why is Empower Digestive Balance a critical product to add to the already extensive line of Nutrena feeds?
It was as we looked at what horses were impacted by digestive disturbances in general. It's not every horse. I mean, that was the thing that we kept looking at is, we hear about, well, I've got 2 horses in my barn of 7 or 5 out of 20, or maybe it's 8 out of 20, depending upon, what they're doing with that horses. But it was like, did we add this technology to every feed, or do we let people pick and choose? And that's where that's why we added it to the Empower line, because our other Empower products, Empower Boost and Empower Top Line Balance, you add to a feed in general. You're going to add it on top of something else. And we wanted to give people that choice. If you have a horse that doesn't have gastric or digestive upset, you didn't need the technology. You didn't need those added nutrients. So you fed one of our mainline feeds, such as Safe Choice or ProForce. But for those horses that had that need, we wanted to bring that technology to them in the form of Empower Digestive Balance, where they could add it to the horses they needed the help with. So we really want to give people the choice without forcing that technology into every horse in their place that maybe didn't, just didn't need it.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. There are some really interesting nutritional components within Empower Digestive Balance. And I'm going to butcher these names, but
okay.
It looks like marine calcite, encapsulated butyric acid, zinc, and proprietary yeast culture. What are the individual purposes of these unique ingredients, and how do they help horses?
Well, you didn't do too bad with the name, so nice job there. We'll start with the marine calcite. That's a form of calcium that comes from it's actually from algae in the ocean, and it's calcium. I mean, it's the same calcium that we add to feeds on a regular basis in terms of its nutrient content. However, it has a more porous structure. It's a more open structure, like a sponge. So calcium itself buffers acid, or it offsets or counteracts acid. And when it's more porous or open, it's able to interact with more acid. So think horses that are in high competition or high stress situations. We got to control that stomach acid, which can lead, uncontrolled stomach acid or erosion of that stomach acid, erosion of that stomach's protective lining leads to ulcers. The horse naturally has a buffer that it produces on a daily basis when it chews, and it's saliva. Saliva typically buffers stomach acid. But with the things that we do with horses, they don't chew as often, they don't produce as much saliva, so they need more buffering into their diet. That's what the marine calcite does. And it just happens to be a calcium source from the ocean, from algae, that's just this more open, porous structure. So that's really the first one is, and that's where the marine calcite focuses, is really in that stomach around buffering just the natural digestive acid that occurs on a regular basis with the horse, just to keep it in check so that it doesn't get out of control and cause problems. The encapsulated butyric acid and zinc, they're actually one product with two components. And it serves a little two different needs, but it's one component. So, and that product, or the encapsulated butyric acid and zinc, focuses on the small and large intestine. So it makes it past the stomach. The encapsulation helps it make it past the stomach. And at that point, again, when we add stress to the horse, whether it's heat related, performance related, training related, trailering related, the normal gastrointestinal lining of the small and large intestine can break down via various stressful situations. That combined component of the butyric acid and zinc serves two functions. One, the butyric acid itself is a calorie source for the cells of the small and large intestine, so they just work better. So it gives a targeted calorie source, so they stay at high functioning. And then the zinc makes sure that they stay connected. So you can get really into some technical stuff here, but if that gastrointestinal lining becomes too open, things that we don't want absorbed in the bloodstream can start being absorbed into the bloodstream. That's what the stress does. And so the zinc keeps that, what we call a tight junction, tight, so that the bad stuff stays in the intestinal side and the good stuff stays in the blood side, and it's all encapsulated so that it makes it to the small and large intestine. So it's a very new technology that's come out from some suppliers, and it's got good research behind it and works really well. And that's what brings the next phase of, after we make it past the stomach, into the large and small intestine, where we're working on the entire digestive tract. And then the last thing you mentioned, proprietary yeast culture. Again, the yeast that we add, there's always good, beneficial microbes in the horse's gut, and that yeast culture just becomes food for those beneficial microbes. So by adding yeast culture in, it just provides more food source for those beneficial microbes that help everything work really at peak efficiency. So all those things work together so that we bring one product that really works from the stomach all the way back on the horse. That's why that's where it got the term digestive balance, as it's working on the entire digestive system.
Yeah, that's really interesting, especially about just how they all work together and putting those capsules on them so they make it through the digestive system to the places that they need to impact it's really cool.
That's what we wanted to do, is bring something that brought a lot of multi-factor benefits into one single product. Again, so you weren't mixing two or three products in, you could do one product that serves multiple needs.
Yeah, definitely. What group of horses would be the best candidate for Empower Digestive Balance?
That's a really good question. And I think it's, there's a broad class of term we use today, a horse that's under stress. And so that's an open gray area, but anytime we take a horse out of their natural environment, which is running on a pasture, we change their dietary makeup, we change how we feed them, we change all this stuff, and things we got to try to rebalance all that out. So, I think the first class of horses that this is really targeted for is horses that are in competition, heavy training, trailering. That just adds a lot of, whether it's what we call sloshing from the training that happens when you're loping or cantering a horse around, to put them on a trailer, to the stress we put on them at a show or competition. I mean, all that just, it upsets it upsets the balance of how the horse is really designed to function. Typically, we don't feed enough hay in that situation, or we get all that, and again, we're focusing on that with these technologies there. Some other ones we're looking at, I would say that's the major target. The major target horse, if we had to pick one. I think the other ones that some people don't think about is, horses that are on stall rest. Horses that are either laid up or injured, and so they have to be in a stall all the time. That's not normal either. We may like that, of not having to go outside, with everything going on in the world. It's easy, but as we've found, even during our quarantines and everything they're going on now, we get stressed. The horse is the same way. I mean, they're a social animal. They like to get out of their stall, or they like to get out of that. So, another one that we've identified is that stall rest horse. And then you can really use it, whether you use it continually or intermittently, just depends on how severe, or, how much stress you're putting that horse under on a daily basis. But, anytime we're really upsetting that horse's normal, natural lifestyle, which is, a lot of horses today, because they like being out on pasture and grazing and free roaming, we've got to counteract that.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned this a little earlier, but what are the feeding instructions for Empower Digestive Balance? You mentioned it could be fed with other feeds. So what are those instructions?
Yeah, we should always feed. I mean, we have to feed Empower Digestive Balance on top of a regularly balanced diet. So, hay, feed, that's supplying the nutrition. This isn't a quote unquote nutrition source to balance the diet from a protein, fat, fiber standpoint. So, we always need to add this on top of some other feed, whether it's another diet balancer or a traditional feed like a Safe Choice or something. And then you got to kind of look at your situation. I mean, for a 1,000-pound horse, and this is where it gets, the owner gets several options of what they want to do. But for a 1,000-pound horse, which is kind of the standard we use out there to start our feeding rates on, we want to get 24 ounces a day into that horse. So, a pound and a half. Now you can do that in twice a day feedings, a typical morning, afternoon feeding. So 12 ounces morning and night. If the horse owner is a little more intensively manages their horse, you can go up to 4 feedings a day. So you're doing 6 ounces, 4 times a day. The more times you feed it, the better it will work. There's a balance there though, because we know sometimes, feeding 4 times a day just becomes too much. So, we give that option to do from twice a day feedings to 4 times a day feedings and kind of everything in between, but you're still shooting for that 24 ounces a day, for a 1,000-pound horse. And, a way to visualize that is a 1 cup like flour measuring cup from a kitchen that measures 1 cup of flour would give you 6 ounces of weight of Empower Digestive Balance. And that's all written out on the tag and the feeding directions, so people have that easy reference if they're using some type of scoop. So that's how much we want to get in on a daily basis. And then it comes into whether you feed it daily or what I call intermittently. So, and for the horses I have here at my place as well, I do a little bit of both ways. So I have some horses that they're always a little more stressed, they're always a little more fractious or something. So they get Empowered Digestive Balance daily. Then I've got other horses that they're pretty calm, cool, and collected at home, but when I'm going to a show, when I'm going to put them on a trailer, I do more of an intermittent feeding. I'll start at 2 or 3 days before we travel to get that into them, and then I keep it on through the event. So you can do it daily. You can do it intermittently, and you just add one, you increase that feeding before you start. Or you could do almost after, say, you're at an event and you want just an extra little benefit while you're at an event, especially an event that, you're going to, maybe like a barrel racing or roping where you're going to run really hard one time a day and you need them at their peak. When that peak's going to happen. You can kind of give them an individual feeding, say, an hour before. Just do another 6-ounce feeding that hour before. So really 3 ways to get the maximum benefit, all shooting towards that 24 ounces or 1.5 pounds a day for a 1,000-pound horse.
Yeah, I like that it can be customized sort of for each individual
Mm-hmm.
need. It seems like it can really fit any horse's lifestyle that needs it.
Yeah.
Where can horse owners find Nutrena Empower's Digestive Balance?
We've got over 4,000 Nutrena retailers across the U.S. We just launched the product in May, so we're getting it placed in stores now. So the easiest way to find out is go to NutrenaWorld.com and go to our dealer locator. Find the local dealer that's in your area and call them ahead right now. I mean, it's so new; they may not have it in stock yet. But we have over 4,000 outlets across the U.S. that could potentially be carrying the product here very shortly. And it always helps if horse owners call ahead and say, hey, I want to try Empower Digestive Balance for that, to push that retailer saying, hey, I need to get some of this stuff in because I got people calling me. But NutrenaWorld.com, go to our dealer locator, and that's the best place to find the dealer in your market. Right now, it's so early, I would call them ahead, give it several months, and it'll probably be stocked locally at a lot of our retailers. Perfect.
Are there any other feed options from Nutrena that listeners should keep an eye out for?
I think you asked me this question back in November, and I'm kind of like, man, I'm not. Yes, we've got new stuff coming, but we're not quite ready to release all that stuff, But we're always looking to keep our products on the cutting edge. Whether it's like we did last year with Safe Choice, we've done now with Empower Digestive Balance. We did release a feed line called Country Feeds Equine. That's it's a really user-friendly feed into several retailers back about a month ago. And we got stuff coming in the future as well that hopefully I can come back on your podcast and talk to you about in the future.
Absolutely, but we'll just keep an eye out just in case we see something.
Yeah, keep an eye out. We'll be back in touch. We don't rest too much here at Nutrena. We always like to keep new things coming for everybody.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I have, Russell. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
No, I just appreciate the time, and check out NutrenaWorld.com. And if you don't know about Empower Digestive Balance or the other products, for sure, check us out.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Learn more about the Ask Annie podcast by following us on Facebook and Instagram at Ask Annie Podcast. Have a suggestion for a product you'd like me to use in an upcoming episode? Email me at askanniepodcast@gmail.com or leave a comment on any of our social media pages. Find even more Ask Annie episodes anywhere you listen to podcasts, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and many more. The Ask Annie podcast is a production of the Equine Podcast Network, an entity of Active Interest Media and the Equine Network.